Hello everyone, my name is Hala Najjar and my presentation today is going to talk about 5 themes from Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. So, probably the most obvious theme in the play is that of love. However, it's useful to remember that there are different tubes of love which are explored through the play. For example, we have romantic love, we have unrequited love, we have parental love, we have love of friend and friendship, and also the love of family honor. So to break these down in a little bit more detail for you, the romantic love is probably the most obvious and that explored to the relationship between Romeo and Juliet. Unrequited love is basically a love that isn't that isn't returned. So you know if somebody loves somebody else but they don't love from back. That's what unrequited love is. So and we have Romeo and Rosaline. At the beginning of the play, Romeo is upset with Rosaline, but Rosaline isn't interested, and we also have Paris and Juliet. Throughout the story, Paris wants to marry Juliet, love Juliet, never feels the way back toward Paris. Another type of love in the play is parental love, as explored through the relationship between Juliet and her parents, but also through Juliet's relationship with the nurse who raised her from when she was a baby. Additionally, there are aspects of Freya Lawrence's relationship with Romeo that has him act as a parental figure in terms of giving him guidance and advice. Friendship is another type of love in the play, and this is explored through Romeo friendships with Benvolio and Mercutio, and of course the love of family and honor. This is explored in a couple of different ways. The scene of duty that each member of the two families for their respective family is probably the most obvious. This is shown with the opening scene of the play, whereby servants from both families enter a war of words, insulting the family name of the other before this escalates into violence. This aspect of love is also explored when Romeo refuses to fight Tybalt after marrying Juliet. Romeo and Tybalt are at his point family, and out of respect and honor towards Juliet, Romeo refuses to harm Tybalt in that moment and calls for peace. Instead, now in contrast to the theme of love, there is also clear exploration of hatred running through the story. The hatred that underpins the interplay is that between the Montagues and the Capulets. Wherever there is love, there is also hatred battling against it. This theme is explored through specific characters. Tybalt hates space and opts for violence to solve conflict. Romeo hates Tybalt after he kills Mauricio and seeks revenge. This theme could also be explained through the lens of an absence of hatred, such as in the relationship between Romeo and Juliet, as well as in the final scene of the play, when all of hatred is brought to rest as two families recognize the theme of violence exists from the first scene and all through until the final scene, when the violence of all that has come before leads to the two families ending the feud. It's interesting that all violence in the play stems from passion with their dads, passionate love or passionate hatred. For example, Tibur is passionate about protecting his family's honor and is therefore equally passionate about violence. Romeo is passionately in love with Juliet, which is why he refuses to fight Tybalt. This then leads to both Horatio and Tybalt getting killed. Likewise, Barry's love for Juliet, although unrequited, is what leads to his downfall when challenged Romeo to a Juliet. Outside the couple's tomb, it's important to be aware that the themes of love and violence are entwined through the interplay on never appears without the other being close by. The influence of fate is also evident through the play. In the prologue, we are told about two star-crossed lovers in Shakespeare's time and also in our own modern world to a somewhat lesser degree. People believe that the future was determined by the position and movement of the star. This is where modern by horoscope originated from the idea that a person's life was predetermined, meaning that every action and the decision was already written in the start, was an accepted part of society and life when Shakespeare was writing this context adds an interesting interpretation to part of the play. For example, star-crossed could refer to the inevitability of Romeo and Juliet's separated paths crossing on another, as if fate and destiny had already mapped out their relationship for the furthermore when Romeo learns of Juliet appears death from Balthazar. Romeo screams, "I defy your stars." This is particularly interesting because Romeo is blaming fate and destiny for everything bad that had happened, rather than take any of the responsibility himself. With this line, Romeo rejects fate's predetermined plan for him and tries to take matters into his own hands by making the decision to end his own life. And the final theme I would like to talk about in this video is that of youth early in the play. We learn that Juliet is not yet 14 years old, meaning that she is 13 during that event that take place. Although this is never actually explicitly said, this drives home just how young Juliet is and how short her life is cut coupled. Initially denies Paris' request for him to marry Juliet, saying that she is a stranger in the world, implying that she lacks experience and maturity due to her age. There is also a certain naivety to Romeo and Juliet relationship in that they don't truly consider the consequences of their actions. They know that they are each from fiercely rival families who despise one another, and they choose to get married secretly without the knowledge of their parents. Pair adopt this as against the world mentality, which work well for a very short time, that is until the world finally catches up to them and reality takes hold. An additional interesting with regards to youth is when Romeo is telling Freya Lawrence's about Juliet. The day after he met her at the couple's ball. And finally, thank you for listening.